show.
Hello guys, how are you? My name is Howard Nelson Cromwell, and for those of you guys who don't know me, I am the president of LLEWMORC Media and Production Agency, which is a public relations, media, marketing, and management consulting firm based here in Washington, D.C. Um, so I have just been, um, become a member of the um, National Academy for Recording Arts and Sciences, which is the organization who puts on the Grammys. They call it it's the Recording Academy, is the actual title. And so I just did my first, well, recently I just completed my first kind of Grammy sponsored event here in Washington, D.C. And uh, when you become a member of the Academy, they ask you to kind of further their four-tiered kind of mission, which is, um, you know, membership and awards, of course, the Grammys, music education, archiving and preservation, philanthropy and charity, and advocacy. And so while I was sitting through this course, and sitting through this event, it's about a 4-hour event, kind of focused on being your own music mogul. I kept thinking to myself, what can I do to give back, to further the mission of the Academy. So one of our areas of expertise here at LLEWMORC Agency is music. And so we, of course, represent artists, we represent, acts, but we also, manage artists and develop them as well. So anything having to do with, artist representation when it comes to public relations, media, or management, this is something that we do. Um, and so in thinking how I could give back to the music industry, um, I said, well, why not use the skills that I already have? And there was a kind of going back and forth because I still need to maintain trade secrets, and still need to be valuable. I mean, ultimately, this is what I do for a living, and if I give out all my secrets, then why would anybody hire me? So, um, so these kind of web series are going to be kind of it's very top level. It's not going to be really in depth, but it's going to give you the information that you need, and some resources for you to go and get the information you need and go pull the resources that get you to where you need to go. And so, like I said, I got to thinking, and I said, you know what, I can at least put out, kind of like 5-minute kind of web series on what I think or what we in the music industry feels is very germane to any artist kind of breaking into the industry, and not only new artists, but aspiring artists, artists who've not, who are thinking about kind of breaking into the industry, and then veterans who've been doing this for years. Times of course are changing, and there's something called new media that's out now. It's been out for about 5 years now, where artists are no longer going to the traditional route as far as putting out CDs and all that. It's more about the digital downloads and social media and all of that stuff. And so, with that being said, I said, you know what? Why don't I then put out kind of like a web series, and I'm going to be calling it LLEWMORC Agency's Musical Monday. So every Monday, I'm going to be putting out kind of something geared toward artists. And so the first 5 web series are going to be dedicated to um, what what we feel in the music industry, or not music industry, because I'm actually not in the music industry. I represent artists, but I am a media. I'm a publicist. I'm a talking head. A consultant for artists and other companies, nonprofits and for-profit entities. But my musical Mondays are going to be dedicated to um, artists, to the music industry. So every month, like I said, I'm going to be posting a video, and it's going to pretty much give artists um, the inside track of what they should be doing if they're not doing it already, and then a boost and a motivation to continue to do what they're doing if they are already doing it, if that makes sense. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this first webisode, I guess. Oh, first of all, and I'm not a technical guy, so please don't expect all these bells and whistles to be coming from these little web series. It's pretty much a kind of straight shoot, straight shot type of web series where I can tell you what I think you need to know. Um, if you want to go into detail, of course, call our office, send us an email. Our assistant will contact you and set up a meeting with me, and we can go into these things in detail. So this is, like I said, I'm going to try to keep them down to 5 minutes. I know we're all busy, but I think it could really, really help. Um, so with that being said, let's get right into the first. That's what the first of the five next episodes I'm going to be getting into. So the first event I attended that was sponsored by the Grammys, the Recording Academy is the actual name. Sorry, was called Business Beats and Inspiration. It's a series of events that the Recording Academy sponsors, and it allows artists, anybody in the music industry, actually, any of its members in the music industry, to come and learn from industry insiders and kind of music industry heavyweights to further their career and learn and it's a really great kind of not really network assessment but more of a lecture. And so this one was called Being Your Own Music Mogul, and it was moderated by Carrie Cole, who was amazing. She's actually worked with a few of my clients. She's a respected vocal coach. She's a technique teacher, a clinician, a songwriter. She's also an artist. She's an artist development expert. I mean, she does it all. I mean, check her out, Carrie Cole. You can Google her. And if you're serious about your music, if you're serious about your voice, I suggest you contact her and get into one of her programs. She's out of New York. But she does a lot of web series. She does a lot of stuff. So just Google her. She's absolutely amazing. Carrie Cole, Caricole. Carrie Cole. In any case, this event was geared toward making or being a making yourself your own music mogul. And with that, you know, I kind of went on Carrie's website and got some information, and I wanted to partner up because what she gave was so kind of life altering. I think it could be for um, any aspiring artist or artist. And if you're not a member of the Recording Academy, then you probably won't have access to this information. So what I'm going to do is take her 5 steps of um, kind of making it big in the industry, and I'm gonna, sprinkle it with my kind of expertise and my experiences dealing with artists, and to give it more of a meat and potatoes in a real life scenario. So for the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be going through each one of these. She's calling it truth, 5 truths about making it big. I'm going to go through each one of these truths, and each week, and well, I'm going to dive into one of the truths, and like I said, kind of give it some credence. I'm going to give you homework, so at each week you're going to walk away with something you can do to make your career better. So let's get into the 5 truths. The first one is, if you want to make it big in the industry, you have to create your connections and relationships with industry power players. You have to do this on your own. Don't expect your publicist to do it. Don't expect your manager to do it. Don't expect your label to do it. This is you. You're selling yourself, so this is your responsibility to make your connections. That's number one. The second truth, you have to treat your music like a business. Treat it like you do your 9 to 5. You know, if you're supposed to be in the studio, get your ass up and go to the studio. You know what I mean? I'm so sick and tired of people coming to meet me, expect me to take them on as a client, and they haven't quit their job. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have time to dedicate to you. If you have a 9 to 5 and I'm working on your career for a time, I don't work like that. So if you're unwilling to quit your job and treat your music like a business, then there's probably some disconnect. That's probably why you are where you are right now. Number three, if you want to grow your fan base, you have to go organic. I can talk so long about this. I can talk for days about this. How artists come to me and say, well, they want me to put them out there, but yet nobody knows about them. And it's about me pushing a product to their particular followers, not me pushing a product to my followers and my, and my network. I mean, you have to come to me with a following. You have to come to me with organic relationships that you have with your fans. So we'll talk in depth about that in week 3. Week 4, we're going to talk about networking like a boss. You know, in Washington D.C., I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but or rest of the world, I guess this will go global. But in Washington D.C., there are so many networking events, there's so many networking organizations, and people think that you can come to an event, you can go to an event and just give your business card, and it's considered networking, and they're shocked when no one follows up with them, or when they see them out at the next event, and they're like, "What happened?" Well, that's not really networking, especially if you're in the music industry. Um, you passing your card off to someone saying that you're an artist, that's not networking. So we're going to go into an entire, kind of conversation about what you should be doing. I'm sorry. And the fifth and final truth we're going to be talking about in this particular Making It Big series is that the days of being discovered are over. No one's going to discover you. Nobody's, with American Idol and all these different, TV shows, everybody's looking to be discovered. The fact of the matter is that happens maybe 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 1,000,000. You know, you can't wait to be discovered. You have to go out, put in the work, bust your ass, and make it happen for yourself. And if you're not unwilling to do that, then you're never going to make it. So don't expect for, a label to come to you and say, "Oh my God, I really like what you have. I really like what you have, and I think that you should, we're gonna make you a star." That's not happening. You have to bust your ass to get to get where you want to go. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the first truth. If you want to make it big, it's up to you to create connections and relationships with industry power players. Let's think about this. I can tell from my experience, I meet with several artists. And not only artists, I meet with several, company CEOs. I meet with several nonprofits. I meet with several designers. I meet with a lot of people who expect me to somehow, because they sign with me, or expect because I'm well known in DC, that my business connections would translate over to sales for them, or translate over to money for them. And that's not the way it works. Um, you have to be responsible for making your own connections. I met with this artist. Probably it was actually a band. Probably about a year ago. I remember. They are not in Washington D.C. Um, they are from the Midwest, I think it was, and they've come to D.C. a few times and met with me at different charity events and things like that. And the owner of the band, I guess the band leader, was like, I really want to meet with you. I know you're doing great things in the community. I know you're doing great things in business. And so we had an amazing meeting. And he pretty much told me that he wanted to um, use my network to get his band booked in Washington, D.C. Now, first of all, I'm not a booking agent. I am a management consultant. I specialize in public relations and media and management. This is what I do. So I'm not a booking agent. So, I'm not going to call, you know, industry insiders or nightclubs or, people who would be interested in booking you um, as a job. You know what I mean? That's not what I do. Now, in the course of doing business, if I'm representing you, of course I'm going to, put you out there in any chance I can. No, more than likely, I'll book you gigs. However, I'm not a booking agent. That's not what I do. And it doesn't make sense to me because yeah, I'm spinning my wheels, and where I could be gearing you up for your next step. That's what I do. So in any case, so you have to make your own connections, and you cannot be afraid of the word no. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there and be afraid of rejection. If you're afraid of rejection, you're in the wrong industry. Being an artist is not for you. Okay? If you're afraid of no, being an artist is not for you. You're going to get probably 95.9% of the time, you're going to hear no. And so don't take that as, these record labels or these managers or these PR firms don't want to hear from you again. Um, that's not the case. You have to be ready to come back to them and say, and a year later, 6 months later, and say, you know what, you wanted me to work on my social media presence. you know what? Now look at my followings now. I have a real organic connection with all of my followers. That organic connection would translate over to, money and moving product when you're finally releasing your product. You know, we can go we'll go into this organic connection later on, in 3 weeks or so. But you cannot, you have to make these connections. In today's music industry, you have to be your own relationship strategist. You have to be your own communications department, your own publicist, and it takes time to hone these vital skills. And if you're not willing to invest that time in it, then this is not going to work either. You have to be able to do your research. You have to be able to, know who you're talking to. I can't tell you enough how many times people think that they know me, and then, we sit down and I'm like, so what exactly do you think that I do? And I'm like, well, I know that you do this, and I'm like, well, actually, that's not what I do. I mean, I'm a consultant. I'm not, relationships in the music industry are no different from any other relationships you may have. It takes time, it takes dedication. They're built slowly, they're built over time. It takes trust, and so with the consistent effort and attention, you can build those relationships. You can maintain them, but don't expect it to happen overnight. You're an artist, and ultimately you're out to push a product. And if you don't understand that, then you're in the wrong industry. So I'll say this again. You're an artist and you're out to push a product. And if you don't understand that, you're in the wrong industry. And so don't expect for you to meet an executive or a manager or a publicist, and expect them to be on board. It takes a while for them to see what you can do. Once they see what you can do through this, course of building this relationship, through the course of you having a consistent effort and giving it attention, then they're more willing to invest in you and take a chance. But until that, you can't expect you to meet somebody and then for them to automatically be on board. That's not the way it's going to work. Okay? So, I think we're probably over 5 minutes. I'm not quite sure. But this is what I want you guys to do this week. This is your job. If you've been rejected, work on the constructive feedback they've given you. Work on the constructive feedback that they've given you, because they should have given you constructive feedback if they're somewhat interested. So you work on that constructive feedback, um, and use it. Use your own judgment as filter options. One thing I think artists do is they somehow lose themselves when a big label or someone they really want to work with or give them constructive feedback. They kind of lose what they who they are. And so I'll say, most of the people, most of us industry folks, we're not artists. You know, I'm a consultant, and so I don't know what you do as an I do know what you do as an artist, but I can't speak for you when it comes to your artistic direction. That's for you to know. You know, what I will say is when you take their constructive feedback, incorporate their suggestion while maintaining your artistic integrity. Okay? Incorporate their constructive feedback while maintaining your artistic integrity. Because if you're not happy with yourself, then you can't sell yourself. And ultimately, if you can't sell yourself, then again, you're not going to last in this industry. But you also have to be able to morph. What's one thing about, artists out there today? If you think about, the artists who are really, really, you know, really doing it now, who are really popular and, making moves, they're always, always making things happen. They are always morphing. They're always changing with the times. And so don't get so caught up in you being yourself and, trying to maintain your artistic integrity to where you're not willing to grow as an artist. Okay? And the second thing is, so I want you to also keep in touch with the people who've said no to you. So think about over the last year and a half, however long you've been doing this, and somebody said, well, you know what? This is not what we're looking for right now. You go back to them. Go back to them and say, okay, this is what you told me I need to do, and this is where I am now. Okay? Go back to him and tell you, this is what you said I needed to do, and this is where I am now. I've taken what you said. Let's have a sit down and see whether we can work together. All right, that's the two things I want you to do this week. Take constructive criticism, incorporate it into your package, your brand, and go back to the people, then go back to the people, I'm sorry, and go back to the people who told you no over the last year or so, maybe even longer, and reach out to them and say, you know what? I've taken what you said. I've taken your suggestions. I've used them. I incorporated into who I am, and this is the output. Let's set up a meeting. Let's see whether we can make this happen. Okay? So that's all for this week. I hope you guys found it very useful. I know I said I would try to keep it under 5 minutes, but it's more like 25. But in any case, I hope that you were motivated. If you're not doing what you're doing, to be motivated. Um, I also want you to go to the link below this posting, and it's going to be to the actual website, the web page that has the material from today's topics, as well as all of our social media platforms. And so make sure you like us on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Also, make sure you sign up for our In the Know newsletter, the Work Agency's In the Know newsletter, so that actual icon will be on the web page as well. And when you go to the web page, just click on, I'm sorry, when you go to the newsletter, just click on the option that says that you want to be kept in a loop with PR tips, media tips, and discounts. And that way you'll get these web postings every Monday into your email address, as well as discounts on our services and tips and things like that. So that's pretty much it. If you want to meet with if you want to meet with me personally, if you have a project that's coming up that you think you can use some public relations help with, or some management consulting, some product, management or artist management, go to our website at LLEWMORCagency.com and just click on the request a consultation tab. And one of our assistants will call you back to set up the actual meeting after we've got the required information from you. So again, my name is Howard Nelson Cromwell. Again, this has been Music Mondays. Check back next Monday for part 2 of this five series, webinar. All right. I will talk with you soon. Bye bye.